Spanish explorer Edmundo and a team of 7 set out to explore and document the world's largest rainforest, the Amazon. What starts as a 6-month project turns into a 3-year obsession as the team endures everything the jungle can throw at them. Without the use of modern navigation tools, the expedition becomes lost deep in the Amazon basin. One of the team falls severely ill with malaria, forcing them to abandon much of their film equipment. But some of their reels survived and are rumoured to contain the unobtainable, actual head shrinking. Now, nearly 50 years later, I've been given the rare opportunity to screen them. Of the canisters that survive, most of the footage is indigenous people going about their daily lives. But the scene I'm interested in is an encounter with headhunters. At some point, Bielawski's expedition travels to the west of the Amazon basin. It's here the explorers capture an extraordinary moment. A group of Indians demonstrating the process of shrinking a human head. From my basic understanding, I know the skull is removed first. In this shot, we see the skullless head being dried in the sun. I've no idea what a human head looks like when you've removed the skull, and this looks like old leather, but that may be exactly what it looks like. Here, an Indian fills what appears to be a decapitated head with hot sand. Then they boil it to start the shrinking process. And this is the stage after that, where he's kind of like shaping it out and forming, making it look like a human face again. Finally, they perform a ritual to render the soul of the victim powerless to take revenge. Now, filmmakers in the past have used old shrunken heads to reconstruct the ceremonies, but what separates Bielawski's footage from the rest is this. If this really is a fresh human head, then it's the only known archive to show a head-shrinking ritual in progress. To help me decide if it is in fact real, I'll need to find the place they filmed it and talk to the people involved. But it's been nearly 50 years. The obvious thing to do is to ask the filmmaker. Unfortunately, Edmundo Bielawski died over 10 years ago. Now, the next thing to do would be to ask the people in the ceremony itself. The problem is, I don't even know which country he was filming in. To find out, I meet the one person who may be able to give me some clues. Bielawski's son, Rick. What inspired him to go? Why did he end up in the Amazon?
I think the guy basically was an adventurer, one of the old school.
During the 1960s, Rick's father returned from a number of expeditions to South America with a variety of exotic keepsakes and artifacts, including his scribbled notes and hand-drawn maps. Do you know what route your father took? Where was he travelling?
The countries he went to, Peru, Venezuela, Ecuador, obviously Brazil.
And specifically on the head-hunting, head-shrinking scene, did he leave a record of where that happened?
Unfortunately, no.
Bielawski's records don't pinpoint the exact location of his encounter with head shrinkers, but they do provide me with enough information to begin my journey.
Okay, bye-bye.
Head hunting occurred in many regions of the world, but the practice of head has only ever been recorded in the northwestern region of the Amazon rainforest. So I'm making Ecuador my starting point. Ecuador is a melting pot of indigenous peoples and those descended from the Spanish. The country includes 13 recognized indigenous nations, all with varying languages and dialects. Ecuador's capital, Quito, is situated over 9,000 feet above sea level on the outskirts of the Amazon basin.
Quito is the main drop-off point for people who are going to venture into the Ecuadorian rainforest. But while I'm in the city, I'm going to visit the one place where I know I'm going to see some evidence of headhunting.
Head shrinking has only ever been practiced by one portion of the jungle-dwelling population. A form of summary justice carried out on enemies, the shrinking process was deemed necessary to stop the victim's evil spirit from seeking revenge. Shrunken heads, or TSANTSAs, were commercialized when foreigners began to collect them as exotic curiosities. Today, TSANTSAs are estimated to be worth up to $30,000 each. But that's not the only reason they need to be handled carefully.
Es por eso que cuando yo las toco, pido autorización a su espíritu que se quede ahí.
Ahora?
Sí, ahora.
It's happening now? It's
En
still
este
there?
momento, sí. A ella no le gusta que les toquen ninguna otra persona, porque su espíritu dice no pueden tocarlas o burlarse de su espíritu, porque se tiene la creencia de que su espíritu se apodera de sus sueños y no lo deja en paz.
Do you know who made these shrunken heads?
Esta es una técnica propia de los shuar. No lo hace ninguna otra cultura en el Ecuador y no es conocido a nivel de América que ninguna cultura lo haga.
The shuar are the same people that featured in Bielawski's film, only back then they were known as the Jibaro. They had a reputation for being one of the Amazon's most fierce indigenous people.
It'd be really helpful to me if you could let me know what part of the country I should start looking in.
Bueno, los shuaras son propios de la provincia de Morona, Santiago, en la Amazonia ecuatoriana.
To reach Shuar territory, I must travel south from Quito through the mountainous eastern ridge of the Andes.
Now down in the valley there is the Pastaza River, which is one of the many tributaries that flow into the Amazon. And back in the early 1960s, when Edmundo Bielawski set off on his journey, roads were few and far between. So travelling would have been a real hard slog every single day. But I've got a nice road, so right now I feel lucky.
Before his encounter with head shrinkers, Bielawski writes about climbing in the Peruvian Andes in search of the Amazon's source. His notes also reveal his determination to film the head shrinking process. He descends from the Andes and meets numerous communities, none of which can help him. Shortly afterward, he mentions heading north towards Peru's border with Ecuador and the heart of Shuar territory. The next morning, I reach the frontier town of Macas. Situated in the middle of the jungle, Macas was built as an outpost over 400 years ago. It was here in the 1920s Catholic missionaries sought to restrain aspects of the indigenous culture. The Shuar were resistant to losing their identity and particularly reluctant to stop making census. I've come to a Catholic seminary to find out how one person was involved in putting a stop to head shrinking in the 1960s.
How did you explain to the Shuar that they must stop taking vengeance themselves with TSANTSA?
Entonces nosotros colocamos su cultura como Antiguo Testamento. Esa matar al criminal ojo por ojo, diente por diente está en toda la Biblia. Cuando ese Dios se hace hombre, se encarna, no, y muere en la cruz diciendo perdónale porque no sabe lo que hace. No, entonces da una nueva ley que hay que perdonar al enemigo y no hay que matar. Solo Dios que sí.
By incorporating shuar beliefs with the New Testament, the Padre feels he helped put an end to head shrinking in the area.
Have you personally witnessed a TSANTSA ceremony?
De TSANTSA humana, no. Pero la misma elaboración la hace con el mono perezoso.